May I request Mr. Vikas Singh, President SCBA, and Mr. Pradeep Kumar Rai, Vice President SCBA, to kindly escort Honorable Dr. Justice D.Y. Chanchu, Chief Justice of India, Honorable Mr. Justice Dinesh Maheswari, Judge Supreme Court, and Mr. R. Venkatramani, the Attorney General for India, to the dais. May I request Ms. Yugandhara Pawar Jha, Treasurer SCBA, to kindly present a bouquet to Honorable Dr. Justice D.Y. Chanchu, Chief Justice of India. May I request Mr. Deepak Kansal, Joint Treasurer SCBA, to kindly present a bouquet to Honorable Mr. Justice Dinesh Maheswari, Judge Supreme Court. May I request Mr. Vikas Gupta, Member Executive SCBA, to kindly present a bouquet to Mr. R. Venkatramani, the Attorney General for India. May I request Seema Patnaha, Member Executive SCBA, to kindly present a bouquet to Mrs. Dinesh Maheswari. Honorable Dr. Justice D.Y. Chanchu, Chief Justice of India, Honorable Mr. Justice Dinesh Maheswari, Judge Supreme Court, Honorable Judges of Supreme Court, Mr. R. Venkatramani, Learned Attorney General for India, Mr. Tushar Mehta, Learned Solicitor General for India, Mr. Vikas Singh, President SCBA, Shri Pradeep Kumar Rai, Vice President SCBA, Mr. Manoj Kumar Mishra, President SCORA, Senior Advocates and my fellow colleagues, a very good evening to you all. Today we have gathered here to bid farewell to Honorable Mr. Justice Dinesh Maheswari, Judge Supreme Court. He was appointed as Judge of Rajasthan High Court on 12th of September 2004 and was appointed Chief Justice of Meghalaya High Court on 24th of February 2016 and was appointed as Chief Justice of Karnataka High Court on 12th of February 2018. He was elevated as Judge of Supreme Court on 18th of January 2019. In his tenure of more than 4 years as a Supreme Court Judge, he gave numerous landmark judgments. In the case of Ashish Sela versus Maharashtra Legislative Assembly, reported in 2022, 12 SCC 273, it was held that the resolution by which the MLAs were suspended by the Maharashtra Legislative Assembly was illegal and irrational to the extent of period of suspension beyond the remainder of the concerned session. In the case of Rajiv Suri versus Delhi Development Authority, reported in 2022, 11 SCC 1, which was regarding the Central Vista project, it was held that the project does not involve any conversion into private ownership and has no element whatsoever permitting commercial use of vital public resources. In the case of Indian School Jodhpur versus State of Rajasthan, reported in 2021, 10 SCC 517, regarding the fees to be charged by private schools in Rajasthan, it was held that it is for the school management to reschedule payment of school fee in such a manner that not even a single student is left out or denied opportunity of pursuing his or her education so as to effectuate the adage live and let live. I also take this opportunity to thank Honorable Dr. Justice D.Y. Chanchu, Chief Justice of India, and the Building Committee of Honorable Mr. Justice Sanjeev Khanna, Honorable Mr. Justice B.R. Gavai, Honorable Mr. Justice Surya Kant, Honorable Mr. Justice Vikram Nath, and Honorable Mrs. Justice B.V. Nagaratna regarding the annexi building opposite Court 10, which would be built again as the proposed plan was shown to us 2 days back. The new annexi building would have 5 floors and would have courtrooms there and would have space for a library, lunch room, consultation room, ladies bar, canteen for members, space for SCBA, SCORA, waiting rooms on all floors, and the work would start soon phase-wise as the work would be completed in 3 phases. The proposal for underground parking in the Supreme Court complex and opposite Supreme Court is also there. This would be a great help for the bar and also for the infrastructure requirements of the institution. The planning for the building is being done in such a way that it can take care of the infrastructure requirements for the next 40, 50 years. We really thank the Honorable CJ and the building committee from the core of our heart for this, sir. May I now request Mr. Pradeep Kumar Rai, Senior Advocate and Vice President SCBA, to kindly give his welcome address.
Honorable Justice D.Y. Chanchud, the Chief Justice of India, Honorable Venkat Ramani ji, Attorney General for India, Honorable Tushar Mehta ji, Solicitor General of India, Vikas Singh, President SCBA, Rahul Kaushik, Secretary SCBA, Virendra Chahar ji, Honorable P.H. Parakh sir, the 6th-time President of SCBA and 10 times President of ISKORA, Manoj Mishra ji, President ISKORA, Yugandhara Pawar Jha, Rohit Pandey, and our other office bearers, Sachin Sharma, and senior advocates and honorable judges of our Supreme Court of India. Honorable Justice Dinesh Maheswari is the second judge after Justice Lodha who came to Supreme Court from Jodhpur. Honorable Justice Maheswari started his practice on 8th of March 1981. Unfortunately, 8th of March is Women's Day. Justice Maheswari has been a very fond for all these our young members of the bar. Whenever they approach him in his chamber or wherever he goes, he offers them chocolates. One other fact which we did not know, fortunately, Dibbesh and Muktesh, the sons, and Komalji, Mummy and Madam, they are here. I gathered some information that Honorable Justice Maheswari is fond of Hindi movies. Especially, he likes Mughal-e-Azam dialogues. Lordship gets worried that why Anarkali was not handed over to Salim. And he especially makes certain observations. Lordship is fond of Marwadi and Jodhpuri mirch pakoras. Lordship is fond of so many activities, especially cricket. He likes cricket, he loves cricket, and he is very good spinner, which we had witnessed when Lordship was playing the match against us. In that match, the honorable judges succeeded. And because of that track record, Honorable Justice D.Y. Chanchud decided that we are not going to play with Vikas Singh next year because they want to maintain that track record. Lordship has attended so many programs. Fortunately, one program I attended with Lordship in Gita Institute of Law. And I witnessed that Lordship has a very unique style of communicating something. Lordship said the first story of Panch Parmeshwar, which was written by Munshi Premchand. And we are fond of Munshi Premchand because he belonged to Varanasi, Lamahi. So I had visited so many times, and his stories still are relevant. So the story Panch Parmeshwar, which is the story of two good friends who were fond of each other. At one point of time, there was some dispute, and opponents of those friends appointed them the Panch. So the first occasion, the Algu was there, who decided the case against his dear friend Jumman. And later, when the similar matter was the dispute of Algu was brought to Jumman, Jumman thought that I will take revenge. And when they started hearing of the matter, Jumman ruled in favor of Algu. And then he started crying. He said, this job of a Panch, of a judge, is not very easy. When you sit at the job of the punch, you always think in the interest of justice. He communicated that story. Thereafter, Lordship also narrated one story about egos. He said that young lawyers or sometimes successful lawyers, they develop some ego, which is witnessed every day. We in the courts also, here and there, we all witness this. But that ego should not be there. Lordship narrates, and he narrated one story of Kalidas, in which once Kalidas was traveling and he went to a village, he was thirsty, he wanted water. So the old lady who was there at the well, she asked that, who are you? He said that, why to introduce this old lady? He said, I am a traveler. So lady responded that only moon and sun, they are travelers, because they consistently and regularly they travel. Then he said, okay, I am guest. The lady responded that only youth and wealth, they are guests. Then Kalidas say, okay, I am a tolerant man. They say only earth and trees are tolerant. Then he said, okay, I am fool. He said, no. The fools are the kings who does not know that what is the problem with the subjects. And the ministers who communicate wrongly to the king and they agree on each and everything. Then he said, okay, I am stubborn. He said, no, only hairs and nails. The lady said, only hairs and nails are stubborn. Whenever you cut, it develops. Then he realized that there is something wrong with me and I have been outsmarted. So he said, okay, I touched the feet of that old lady. And then he realized that that lady was Goddess Saraswati. So the message was given that anybody, even if you have a lot of knowledge, a lot of power, you should never develop the ego of your knowledge and your personality. Because time comes when anybody who is in the top, they go. Every time you know that somebody is top, you don't know even the first speaker, second speaker of Lok Sabha, you don't remember even third president of India. So many things are there. So many personalities came and they were so relevant, but you don't remember them. Ultimately, our humbleness, our behavior, our politeness, our ways to deal with the people makes us relevant in the society. Lordship also said one story. That was from Panchtantra. He said that 4 friends, they felt that they have attained a lot of knowledge. Obviously, they all are not from our EC. So they developed some art. So once they were going to the forest after seeking permission from the Guru, one friend said that there is a skeleton of a lion. If I want, I can make the lion alive. I can make the things. So he did something and dead body of lion was there. Other friend came, he said, I can put some power and energy into it. Third came and he said, I can put life into it. The fourth one, who was a bit smart, he said, okay, you are going to do this, let me go and ride on a tree. I am not going to accompany you all. And ultimately, lion was alive and he did what he was expected to do because he died of hunger. So he did his duties. Lordship, we all are going to miss you. Lordship said once in Rajasthan, when he was transferred from Rajasthan to Allahabad High Court, Lordship in his farewell said that I am not going to miss anyone. That is nowadays it's been shown on YouTube. But the next line Lordship said that because I am going to be in touch with everyone. Lordship, we all are going to miss you. We are not going to not miss like the way you said, but we are going to be more in touch. Lordship is so humble that whenever you see someone in the court, the personalities are different. Whenever you meet them privately or in a function or somewhere, you find that most of them are very generous, very humble, and they actually care for us. Honorable Justice D.Y. Chanchud, we are fortunate to have you as Chief Justice, sir. He has recently, on the e-filing, registry used to charge 4 rupees per page. That has been waived. 4 rupee doesn't matter, but incentive with this. And we also, while lightly we said that even the first 2 matters notice may be issued. That may not happen, but ultimately the some advantage is there. Lordship is going to save environment by this and so many other things. Whatever demands are there of our bar, if you go and request politely, it is going to be fulfilled. And that shows that Lordship cares for us. Lordship, you are guardian. If somebody has said something which you did not like, you can call them and you can scold them privately. And I request, sir, that next time, even if you see somebody does something, you should not avoid playing cricket match. I am thankful to everyone who have attended this program. So many young lawyers are here. You all will be mesmerized with the personality of Honorable Justice D.Y. Chandud. We all are. Similarly, we all are also mesmerized. Lordship is going to do so many things, including even this new building is coming up where from court number 1 to 5 will be there. But other courtrooms, they are going to be renovated into 3 phases. And in those phases, even the good room for Scora, library, canteen, other facilities for litigants are going to be developed. Lordship, you have thought all this. I think that I expected only 10 to 15 stones from you. It appears that you are going to make a century. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pradeep, sir. May I now request Mr. R. Venkatamani, Attorney General for India, to kindly deliver his address.
I wish to be envious of my learned friend and to be able to take us on an evening like this to different levels of wit and humor, lacing it with warmth and friendship and camaraderie. But I lack that wonderful quality, but on an evening when you're assembled here to say formally bid farewell. I mean, as I said in the morning in Chief Justice's court, no judge who adorns the Supreme Court ever leaves this court. Physically, yes, but not otherwise. And before I would like to say a few more words, I have one good association with Justice Dinesh Maheswari. Both of us are students of physics. And I suppose once you're a student of physics, you are a master of many things. Like I say so in an interesting book titled Thinking Like a Lawyer, an American academic called Frederick Schroer says, what's the difference between thinking like a lawyer and thinking like a mathematician or thinking like any other, subject of inquiry in pure sciences? Physics occupies, I think, an important and aspect of inquiry into the world of nature. And that connection between physics, mathematics, logic easily takes you into the realm of law and justice. And I'm sure that's where I find, we look at, just give a quick glance at some of the judgments delivered by Justice Dinesh Maheswari, whether it's the death penalty cases, or some of those MLAs walked free because the resolution passed by the assembly was defective, or an employer's right not to be bound by a mistake committed by an employer while giving information about his antecedents. You look at every one of them. A student of physics looks at something very closely, fundamentally, at how does certain things work. The inquiry into the working of things, I think, is what makes many judges very prominent, more involved, engaged, and I'm sure that's where the quality of being a physicist without being a working physicist makes Justice Maheswari the very interesting qualities of his judicial craftsmanship. And as I said, no judge ever leaves this court. As we move into different era of the Supreme Court's engagement in the affairs of the country, the traditional lines drawn between civil, criminal, and so on and so forth no longer exist. The question of looking at what rights are we here to protect and how do we protect them? Is there an instrument to protect them? And how do you enlarge upon those rights? And these questions, I think, range virtually across every branch of administration of justice. And the more the courts engage themselves in unraveling the hidden depths of answering these questions, the more we revere a judge. And I should say, without saying anything more, that I would, in my understanding and study and scanning of Justice Maheswari's performance on the bench, he does score on the very high side on how we look at the role of a judge in the Supreme Court. I personally say it, and I thought a judge, it's customary to ask for a judge to give some parting gifts before a judge leaves, and very often we look at the last day before a judge and said, what order or a judgment am I getting today? And Justice Maheswari has not disappointed me, and we got very intellectually stimulating judgments yesterday, and I'm going to treasure them. And as part of my understanding of Maheswari's deep analysis, logic and relevance. So I thank you so much for having enlightened me personally in your court, and many of us who appeared in your court looking for guidance on how do we look at not merely a case as a problem, but something as each one of us a common responsibility of resolving. I learned it very deeply in your court. I thank you for that. I'm sure each and every one of us would have had a similar experience. And while we wish you a post-retirement life of a different order, but I said the concerns of justice will not be far away from you. You will continue to be involved in concerns of justice, and I'm sure destiny will give you more and more assignments in this regard. And let me thank you once again for being with us on this very important, court called the Supreme Court of India. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. May I now request Mr. Vikas Singh, President SCBA, to kindly deliver his address.
My Lord the Chief Justice of India, Dr. D.Y. Chandrachud, Honorable Justice Dinesh Maheswari, Honorable Judges of this Court, the Learned Attorney General for India, Shri R. Venkat Ramani, Shri Tushar Mehta, Learned Solicitor General of India, family members of Justice Dinesh Maheswari, members of the Executive Committee of the SCBA, Shri Manoj Mishra, President SCORA, members of the Executive Committee of SCORA, members of the bar, and ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed a very difficult moment for the bar when we lose a good judge at his retirement. It's also a difficult moment for me standing here today to put forth the views of the bar about what they have felt about the tenure of Justice Maheswari in this court, and to put it in such a manner to do complete justice to what he is all about. Justice Maheswari has two lessons to give. One, of course, to the budding lawyers, and one, I will say, with a little bit of this thing, to the judges of this court. To the budding lawyers, he says that before going to a higher court, you must practice in the trial courts for 2-3 years. And the message to the judges, which I have personally noticed in his court, is that when a junior member comes to him asking for a passover, he normally insisted the junior member to argue the matter. And I think this is a great way to encourage the junior members of the bar to get an opportunity to argue in a matter, because otherwise, no way they will be given a chance to argue on their own, especially at that stage of their practice. And I've seen junior members of the bar fumble, not being prepared or being worried that if we argue and something were to happen. But what they were not realizing was, and which I came to know after several such incidents in his court, that he was either decided already to issue notice in the matter and wanted to give credit to the junior member, or he was in any case wanting to give him an opportunity to argue, but at the same time not pass an adverse order and wait for the senior to come. I think this is a great way to encourage the junior members of the bar, and I salute you, sir, for this. This is something which is very, encouraging, because you get years and years before you actually get an opportunity to argue in Supreme Court, and this kind of encouragement is very welcome. And I would beseech the other judges here as well as in the high courts to do a similar exercise of encouraging junior members. But at the same time, the message which I also saw and which I feel is very important today, and I thought this is the right platform to put across, is that very many times I found the young members of the bar were not prepared at all. They had not even read the brief. This is something which is very, very disheartening, because whenever you go for a passover also, even for a simple passover, I beseech every member of the bar to read the brief and go even for a passover, because this is the great opportunity for you. Because even if you are going for a passover and the matter is ultimately to be argued, if you have read the brief, you will know what is going in the judge's mind. You will know the kind of questions he asks. You will know how the answers have to be given. And that is the real way to learn for your growth in the profession. And I through this, on this occasion, would request every member of the bar, young member of the bar, to be completely prepared, even if he is just a junior briefing a senior or going for a passover, and grab on this opportunity if the judge gives this opportunity to argue, notwithstanding the senior not being there for some reason, or notwithstanding the senior simply asking you to ask for a passover. Justice Maheswari is a third-generation lawyer, but a first-generation judge. His grandfather was a Mukhtar in a small place called Begun in Chittorgarh district of Rajasthan. His father, Shri Ramesh Chandra Maheshwari, late Ramesh Chandra Maheshwari, was a very prominent lawyer, and he shifted from Begun to Jodhpur sometime in the 1960s. Justice Maheshwari did his schooling and college between Jodhpur and Jaipur. He did his schooling in Jodhpur, graduation in Jaipur, and law again from Jodhpur. He was a science graduate. His father wanted him to become a chartered accountant. But Justice Maheshwari idolized his father so much that he could not think of any other profession but the legal profession, and that is why we are having him here today as a judge of this court and having done such great work in this institution. Justice Maheshwari was found as a candidate to become a judge by Justice Anil Dev Singh. He was from our Delhi High Court. He was Chief Justice in Rajasthan. And it is always a matter of great pride when a lawyer, who may be the son of a lawyer, but not being son of a judge, to be elevated. So it's really credit to the system that he was found to be, for the purpose of elevation, considered fit for elevation. I believe he was considered earlier also, but somehow things did not materialize, and Justice Anil Dev Singh decided to pick him up and make him a judge. And we are indebted to Justice Anil Dev Singh, because Justice Maheshwari, the best thing which I liked about him was that, firstly, he addressed everyone as sir. whether it be a junior or a senior, he addressed everybody as sir. And secondly, which I realized was that he was always, or rather many times, more prepared than the lawyer arguing before him. So the kind of reading he must be doing inside home for all these briefs, when we are doing 7-8 matters, we are, flustered of reading from page to page, but probably as a judge, when you have 50-60 matters, he was ready with the entire brief and page to page, and he knew how relief had to be given. He was very equity-minded. He tried to ensure that substantial justice is done, and that he has done till the very end, till the very last day, till yesterday. And we want more judges like him to come to this court, because ultimately, what is this institution? Ultimately, this institution is not only a court of justice, but also a court of equity, having the powers of doing substantial justice. And I think Justice Maheswari, unfortunately, had a very short tenure of a little over 4 years. A longer tenure for him would have been a great help to this institution. I said this today in morning also, that judges retire at the age of 65, which is no age to retire, but unfortunately, that is not something which we can decide, but definitely we can make this noise on and off at every occasion, that there should be a serious proposal to consider enhancing the age of retirement at least to 70, because the most productive years of a judge is used in making money rather than in deciding cases for the country, which is as an arbitrator, which we all know. After retirement, they all get very lucrative arbitration works. So in a way, it is good for them, but the country can use them more as service to the nation by them being in Supreme Court and continuing to serve the institution rather than making money for themselves. Justice Maheswari was part of this Janhit Abhiyan versus Union of India, in which the 103rd Amendment to the Constitution providing 10% quota for economically weaker section was held to be constitutional. Justice Maheswari concurred with the majority, holding that reservation structured singularly on economic criteria did not violate any essential feature of the Constitution. In Bajrang versus State of MP, a bench comprising of Justice Sanjay Kaul and Justice Maheswari and Justice Rishikesh Roy reiterated the position the right to property may not be a fundamental right, but still remains a constitutional right, and nobody can be deprived of property without the authority of law. Justice Maheswari, in his of course college days, or even after, right, I think up to he was in the High Court, he used to play tennis. In fact, there was a tennis court in the Rajasthan High Court, and I kept on beseeching him to play tennis here also. We had these 2-3 tournaments while he was here, but somehow he didn't have confidence on himself, and he said, I don't know, I've been out of the game for a very long period of time, but I'm sure he'll get more time for himself and pursue his hobby now. Although the grapevine is that he'll be with us probably doing something, some serious adjudication within Delhi itself. But I hope wherever he is, he gets time for himself, and he is able to, sort of enjoy all what he has missed in this grueling schedule that on Supreme Court judges ordinarily miss out. I share one similarity with Justice Maheswari, that I also have 2 sons who are lawyers. His 2 sons are also lawyers. His one daughter is also a lawyer. My one daughter-in-law also is a lawyer. And his second daughter-in-law is not a lawyer. My second daughter-in-law is not a lawyer. So we say in our family that we have only one normal person. Rest are. So probably in his family it's the same. As the President of the Bar, I wish Justice Maheswari a very healthy and happy retired life. I hope he gets more time to do all that he has missed out in these so many years of his judgeship. He can spend time with his family. His wife has given up her practice. She never practice because she said that bringing up the family is more important, in spite of being a qualified lawyer herself. And she has, of course, been a great source of strength for him, so he can get more time with his family. And I, on behalf of the entire bar, sir, wish you a very, very happy next innings, I would say. I will not say retirement.
Thank you, Vikas sir. Just to add to what Vikas sir said, after finishing his board, when Justice Dinesh Maheswari was meeting members of the bar in the corridor today, two young lawyers just met Justice Dinesh Maheswari, and one of them said, "Sir, I argued my first criminal appeal because of you." The young lawyer had asked for a passover, and sir said, "I'll pass over the matter, I'll adjourn the matter, but if you argue the matter." So a young lawyer could argue a criminal appeal just because of sir. So this is how you encourage the younger members of the bar, sir. Just some human qualities of Justice Dinesh Maheswari. Whenever you would go to invite him for any function in his chamber, it's not either a yes or a no. If you have come to his chamber, he will obviously offer you something to eat or drink. I mean, this is just a human quality of a person. Thank you, sir. May I now invite the Honorable Dr. Justice D.Y. Chanchur, Chief Justice of India, to kindly deliver his address.
Honorable Justice Dinesh Maheswari, Mrs. Suman Maheshwari, Mataji Rukmini Devi Maheshwari, members of his family, my sister and brother judges, Mr. Vikas Singh, President of the Supreme Court Bar Association, Mr. Pradeep Kumar Rai, Vice President of the SCBA, Office Bearers of the SCBA, Mr. Manoj Kumar Mishra, Learned Attorney General for India, Mr. R. Venkatramani, Mr. Tushar Mehta, Learned Solicitor General, all the office bearers of SCORA, members of the bar, officers of the registry, and ladies and gentlemen. I was waiting when Pradeep Kumar Rai ji was making his customary speech for that free hit over third man which would cross the boundary. Eventually, there were only a few reverse sweeps today. But one thing I must very gently answer is his misgiving about why we have not played the cricket match with the lawyers this year. Well, there's only one reason for it, and that reason is in the statistics of how many mentionings we have to do at the beginning of every morning, which leaves you pretty exhausted to play a cricket match in the evening, despite our dashing captain, Justice Sundaresh. And just to give you some figures, I had about 1,530 mentionings this week. 237 on Monday, 218 on Tuesday, 276 each on Wednesday and Thursday, and today 323. And we have about 1,500 matters which are already listed for next week. So I dare say that my colleagues don't have time to exercise and get ready for a cricket match for Monday, but we'll do that sometime. Today is a bittersweet day as we gather to bid farewell to our esteemed colleague, Justice Dinesh Maheswari. I have known Justice Maheswari for a long time, since our days in the Allahabad High Court when I was Chief Justice and he came from Rajasthan to Allahabad. He was initially a judge of the Allahabad High Court at Prayagraj, and later on, when I required the presence of a very seasoned colleague in Lucknow, I requested Justice Maheswari as to whether he would be willing to move as senior judge of the Lucknow bench of the Allahabad High Court. For those of you who are not aware, a senior judge is a very sensitive institutional position. Some senior judges, in fact, asserted their right to use the same green ink which only the Chief Justice of the Allahabad High Court uses. But Brother Maheshwari always made it a point to tell me that I'm not going to use the green ink because, unlike many of my predecessors, I do not claim any pretensions to be the Chief Justice of Awadh. There is only one High Court, and I'm the senior judge of the High Court of Judicature at Allahabad at Lucknow. But we got to know each other very well. We conversed a great deal. We tried to find solutions to some of the problems which confronted us in those days. I can only say, based on his personality, and this is also meant for his very distinguished and kind mother who is with us, रुक्मिणी देवी जी, माता जी, बस आपके लिए मैं यही कहना चाहता हूँ कि जब दिनेश भाई लखनऊ आए थे, इलाहाबाद आए थे जोधपुर से, सो उस समय जोधपुरी मिठास का गंगा यमुनी तहजीब में समझ लीजिए समन्वय हो गया। Born in Udaipur, Justice Maheshwari moved for his graduation to the Pink City, Jaipur. We did not lose him to the field of physics, and he enrolled for law in the Blue City of Jodhpur. Just like the hues and the shades of cities that colored his journey to law, Justice Maheshwari's career in the judiciary too reflects a journey in which he navigated through the rich diversity of our country. While Justice Maheshwari belongs to the Rajasthan High Court, which is his parent High Court, he demonstrated an ability to navigate through different courts, cultures, and legal systems that represent the diversity of the nation. His service as Chief Justice of both the Meghalaya and the Karnataka High Courts demonstrate his adaptability and resilience. Despite his not being proficient in the regional languages, when he first joined those courts, Justice Maheshwari accustomed himself to the unique legal challenges and complexities of those jurisdictions. This perspective and experience acquired through the years brought to his work in the Supreme Court understanding of the laws in the country. Justice Maheshwari also imbibed the culture of all the regions that he has served in. Throughout his career, Justice Maheshwari has shown a commitment to ensuring that justice is accessible to all. He has been a proponent of the alternate dispute resolution mechanisms and emphasized the need to streamline the arbitration process to make it more efficient and cost-effective. He did not shy away from raising issues of importance for the administration of justice. In his speech at the 40th anniversary of the CSTAT, Justice Maheshwari specifically pointed out the need for the executive to implement its litigation policy, ensuring that it does not file appeals in all cases unnecessarily, adding to the ever-rising docket of courts. He pointed out that the government should be a responsible litigant rather than being a compulsory litigant. Justice Maheshwari has always had, from the days of his practice, a keen interest in civil procedure. He has been a driving force behind many important developments in this field. His contributions have helped to streamline the legal system. Justice Maheshwari has authored over 100 reported Supreme Court judgments, including his decision upholding the 103rd Constitutional Amendment providing for EWS reservations in Janhit Abhiyan versus Union of India. An advice which he often shares with his juniors as well as with us on the bench is about the role that judges and lawyers ought to play. He often says, as judges, we do not see the person, only the cause. Similarly, he would tell his judicial law clerks and interns that as budding lawyers, they should always remember that once they are in the court of law, they argue not for a specific person and their interests, but only represent a cause to which they must do justice, nothing less and nothing more. Everyone who has interacted with Justice Maheshwari has been marked by his kindness. His kindness extends to his love for animals and his pet dogs, to whom he personally tends. He is also approachable and helpful, and has mentored young lawyers and law students over the years. Recently, one of my interns shared a story with me. She had just finished her second year of law school. She did not have any connections in the law. She had also not worked with any other judge before that, and she wrote to Justice Maheshwari. He called her to the office for an interview, and not only did he take her under his wings, but consistently mentored her. He takes time for all his law interns to discuss and explain to them the important concepts of law with utmost patience. I have heard many such stories from his juniors of him going above and beyond to care for his staff. He would check up on them regularly and make special provisions for women in his staff to ensure their safety while traveling to and from his office. In the field of law, all of us owe our careers to individuals who took out the time to guide us and mentor us. As we rise in the ranks, many of us find it difficult and fail to take out the time to mentor the next generation. But stories such as the ones we hear from Justice Maheswari's juniors and law clerks remind us that one is never too busy or too senior to find time to contribute to the development of the coming generation of lawyers. As we bid farewell to Justice Maheswari, his commitment to making a positive difference in the lives of those around him will provide an inspiration. We will miss him as a human being and the manner in which he shows his kindness and humility around him. I remember as the Chief Justice of the Allahabad High Court, whenever I went to Lucknow, he would be marked out by the bar because he always called every lawyer Sirji, not even Sir. He would always call them Sirji, whether it was a junior or a very senior lawyer. It is a testament to his humility that even as he rose to the highest levels of the judiciary and worked across the country, from Rajasthan to Uttar Pradesh to Meghalaya, Karnataka, and then to the capital, he remained grounded in his roots. I know that till this date, his favorite meal is his mother's dal bati, lapsi, and homemade sweets. To share a secret with you, if you felt as members of the bar that the benches were a little slower than usual on Friday, the reason is to be found in what Justice Maheswari served us in the judges' lounge this morning. He crowned his last day at work in the Supreme Court by bringing beautiful rasgullas from his hometown and then kachori as well. On behalf of the judges of the Supreme Court, we wish Justice Maheswari all the best as he embarks on a new chapter in his life, and we look forward to the continued impact he will make on the legal community. Brother Maheswari, may I wish that you have a long, happy, and fulfilling next chapter of your life. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. As pointed out by the Honorable Chief Justice of India, that the human qualities of Justice Maheswari, how took care of his staff also, and how he used to address all the lawyers. We all know even the junior most lawyer would be addressed as sir in his court, and even the senior most lawyer would be addressed as sir in his court. May I now request Honorable Mr. Justice Dinesh Maheswari, Judge Supreme Court, to kindly give his address.
A very good afternoon to all. Honorable the Chief Justice of India, my sister and brother judges, the learned Attorney General, the learned Solicitor General, Mr. Vikas Singh, President, Supreme Court Bar Association, and the members of the Executive Committee. Thank you. Mr. Manoj Mishra, President Skora, and the members of the Executive Committee. Mr. Pradeep Kumar Rai, the Vice President of the Supreme Court Bar Association. Why I have underlined it, well, you know it. Mr. Rahul Kaushik, the Honorary Secretary, Supreme Court Bar Association, the learned senior advocates, the other learned members of the bar, particularly the younger members, and the officers of the registry of the Supreme Court, staff members of the Supreme Court, my family members, ladies, gentlemen. Honorable the Chief Justice and all the learned speakers before me had something to share with you, purportedly in reference to me. But without at all attempting to be at divergence with my learned Chief Justice, I just want to add on one thing as regards some purported information said to have been divulged by my staff or my interns or my law clerks, that one of the first requirements or the lessons or the instructions when anybody was joining my office had always been, my chambers particularly, had always been, sir, that confidentiality is the hallmark of anybody working in my office, right? And you can breach anything, you can be indisciplined to the hilt, whatever you want to do, don't want to do, don't do. But if you attempt to make any breach of confidentiality, you may be in trouble. And so I can assure you, sir, that whatever information you have gathered or your advisors have been able to gather must have been only those informations which could be divulged without the breach of confidentiality and not beyond that. It has been a wonderful journey here with all of you. It's a great learning experience. It had been these little few months, more than 4 years here in Delhi. I'm humbled by the kind, affectionate words spoken here. I know these are the words coming out of your excessive love and affection for me, and I'm greatly indebted for that. I know I've placed myself only as just one of the workers, a contributor of this great institution where we as judges are, I would prefer to say, transit tourists, nothing more than that. And in these corridors, well, judges come, judges go. The institution keeps on marching ahead from strength to strength because of continuous, permanent, unending, incessant contribution of the learned members of the bar. And it is the bar that is permanent. We also, well, our position in bar is always safe and permanent. So after today's ceremonial bench also, and the advice of one of my learned brothers, and I requested Mr. Kaushik if I could meet the learned members of the bar. So it was so kind of you, so nice of you today being that Friday flying day for all of you. You took time to, well, say hello to me. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thank you so very much for Mr. Vikas Singh. It's so nice of him always being standing as a meaningful, confident president of the Bar Association. In this auditorium and in these kind of events, Mr. Vikas Singh would always make a point that tenure for judges need to be something different or something more. We all are bound by the Constitution. tenure is also fixed. As at present, I am not saying anything about whether this tenure should be more, less, or what. But what I always felt like is that when you say about the time for life, it's not the time which matters, it's the life in the time that matters. And well, whatever little time I had, how much life I had been able to contribute, that is for the bar, who is the judge of the judges always, is to decide. I'll leave it at that only, but as a humble servant of the Constitution, I have tried to contribute my part towards strengthening of our great institution, one, and marching ahead of our great nation, for which all of us always work together. And I'm thankful to the learned members of the bar for their immense, great contribution, one, and secondly, reposing faith in us, and of course, if I can say so, tolerating me also for whatever mistakes I might have committed. Thank you so very much. Just deviating a bit, because as the learned Chief Justice rightly said, when Mr. Pradeep Kumar Rai got up and took the stage, Honorable Chief Justice was very keenly looking for that googly or sixer or bouncer or whatever is to come. For nobody else, probably that any googly or bouncer, as the Chief Justice said, that maybe it was just a reverse sweep kind of a thing, and maybe one of those stylish shots and nothing more than that. But the googly came for me, I tell you. Mr. Pradeep Kumar Roy, without even asking me about copyright or patent, well, picked up all those stories which I had to share somewhere and, well, shared with you. Thank you, Mr. Rai, for having shared those great stories here. Mr. Roy probably indicated about my involvement as regards one of the greatest movies we had the occasion to admire, that is Mughal-e-Azam. Probably Mr. Rai indicated about that. Yes, there are great lessons from each and every story available with us. He asked about, ultimately the question remains as to where Anarkali had gone. Listening to him, I was tempted to, because some of my colleague judges sometimes, particularly in Allahabad and particularly Katsi, the Honorable Chief Justice, that in Lucknow I spent a lot of time and to share a few great moments from that movie. So Mr. Pradeep Rai said, Anarkali kahan gayi, kind of. There was a very interesting scene in that movie when Salim is ultimately defeated, beaten, and brought to the court of Shahnshah for and the charges are read out, and it was said that ये सारे इल्ज़ामात वापस लिए जा सकते हैं, तुम्हारी तमाम नादानियाँ और नाफरमानियाँ माफ़ की जा सकती हैं यदि तुम अनारकली हमें दे दो. There's a long series of dialogues. I won't trouble you with that. The interesting part was in the last, when Salim ultimately says that अगर आज शहंशाह इंसाफ के पर्दे में अपनी शिकस्त का इंतकाम ही लेना चाहता है तो उसे अनारकली नहीं मिलेगी, उसे अपने बेटे की जान लेनी होगी. The answer was, इंसाफ हमें बेटे से ज़्यादा अजीज है. Friends, this is what we are. Insaf, justice, is dearer to a judge than anything else. And that is what our system has always been. You are the contributors of that system. A judge, when he joins the office of a judge, that's what I've been sharing with my judicial officers in judicial academies also. You don't stand for the plaintiff or the defendant or the complainant or the accused. We just look at the cause and nothing else. Nothing else matters for a judge. Well, whoever is on the right side of the cause, well, the decision may be in his favor, may not be in his favor. That is how that Panch Parmeshwar's story, as Mr. Pradeep Rai shared with you. And there are a lot of our own narratives, friends. The point which I am making here is, we, our country, we as a nation, we have substantial narratives of our own. We need not look at any other jurisdiction, any other narrative to have validation of our narratives. Rather, our narrative is the validation of the other narratives. That is what our system has been. The principles of equality, friends, which, for which we all exist and work, it's not that anybody else has given it to us. Our Rigveda starts with that. Nobody is Jesht and nobody is Kanisht. That is how equality is ingrained in everything of each one of our teachings. That is how, if we start admiring our narratives, if we respect, first of all, we look at our own narratives, and then we admire how much of the life, the teachings are already available there. We need not look at any other narrative. In fact, the other narratives have been the learning drawn and inspiration drawn from us. We need to be, well, proud of that. Friends, as the Honorable Chief Justice indicated, my journey starting from 8th of March 1981, being enrolled as a lawyer, going to the bench in my home state Rajasthan, to the Sangam in Allahabad, to that exotic beauty of Meghalaya, to the Center of Art and traditions and culture in Karnataka. And finally here, the pivot, Delhi. Well, at every place there had been great days of learning, particularly with the learned members of the bar, every day, taking life one day at a time, and I have felt every day had been another learning day. And in a judge's life, no single day would go waste when the teachings which are available from the very presentations of the learned members of the bar are imbibed, and that is what we do. And in fact, a lot many principles, a lot many progressions have been made with the contributions of the members of the bar, and that is why I keep on insisting on the younger members of the bar that the baton would be handed over to you. You have to be confident about yourself. You must realize that it is the bar that is the mirror of the society. And in fact, it is the society that depends, if at all, for anyone to be the support, to be an umbrella at the time of need. It is the bar, it's the learned advocates, the learned counselors that they rely upon. Therefore, you being those persons on whom the society relies upon, you can't be non-confident, you can't be wavering, you can't be found wanting in your hard work and your dedications, friends. Friends, fraternity I've been talking about, and this is one particular aspect we always keep on talking about. We keep on reminding ourselves also about fraternity, the commitment in our constitution. But to admire that and to inculcate that in our working, we need to start from the first word of our constitution, that is WEV. And it, at multiple times, our preamble of the Constitution uses the expression us, our, all. That is fraternity about, togetherness about. Friends, murmuration of birds is a great phenomenon of the nature, where we find a lot many birds, particularly migrating birds, well, moving around, swooping around in different formations. And particularly the evening times, you find those birds making so many of different formations and combinations. And we are wonderstruck about that murmuration. The point is, as some scientists made the studies, and what they found was that every bird, that particular formation to continue to function that way and continue to move around that way, every single bird has to make 100 million calculations per second for that particular formation. Well, there, one bird not hitting the other. Friends, it's that beauty of that murmuration. If we admire that and then just ask ourselves that if they can do that, well, why not we all working together ensure fraternity, which is the promise of our Constitution, friends. We can definitely do that, and do that much to our own advantages. Differences and diversities are two aspects which we come across very many times. To understand and imbibe the difference between the differences and diversities, well, that goes a long way for a lawyer to, and for any law professional for that matter, to contribute better. It's not that the negativity of differences that helps or supports us, but it is the multiplicity available in diversities what that our country is. We admire when diversities, well, the fraternity, well, goes from strength to strength. And that is what I have seen here, the learned members of the bar drawn from different states, different regions, Supreme Court Bar Association particularly. The fraternity is in play from all angles, and I would always wish, well, the Supreme Court Bar Association, and for that matter, the Supreme Court Advocates on Record Association also, being the associations at the apex level of the judicial institution, will be the role models for all other bar associations also, or for that matter, all the law professionals to follow. You need to lead by example. You have been leading by example. And therefore, words of praise or words of and compliment for the learned members of the bar here in Delhi will always be, I would be falling short in those words, but I sincerely express my deep sense of gratitude for all the learned members of the bar for their immense contributions. Friends, while closing for the day, I've heard many good words from the learned speakers and other dignitaries. I'm humbled. At just starting from a trial court lawyer to this court, Supreme Court of India, I've always believed that we are just one of the contributors, one of the role players. Nothing extraordinary about anybody, even if he has been able to contribute something different or extra. Yes, if we fail in our contribution, if we are not able to contribute, then definitely the question marks may arise. And else, so far as listening to praises is concerned, and I will be closing with that, great Dr. Rajendra Prasad on 24th of January 1950, the nearly closing of the Constituent Assembly, after many praises, etc., had something to share. I'm just reciting from what great Rajendra Prasad said. Before that, I would say Pradeep Rai Sahab narrated that story of Kalidas' encounter with Ma Saraswati. The moral of the story was that in the last, Saraswati, when Kalidas was checkmated from all kind, or on all questions, and he understood that the lady knows much more than me, and he was humbled. Ma Saraswati, as the story goes, said that Kalidas, you are definitely one of the most learned persons, no doubt about it. But when I asked you as to who are you, you felt offended. I just asked your name. You being a great person, and according to you, it was worthless to give your name or state your name to an illiterate woman standing on a well in the village. So you felt offended and you said all other things. I'm a traveler, guest, stubborn, fool, and but not your name. You being the learned person, but there's one thing which has overtaken all your learning, and that was your ego. That all your achievements, all your learnings are of no use if you are having ego with you. So if anybody asks you, who are you? Just humbly say your name. It won't matter. You won't be losing your position. That is what the great story was about. Again, I would repeat, we are great. We have got great many of such narratives within us, in our own literature, in our own stories. Regarding praises, Dr. Rajendra Prasad had to say this, recounting from Mahabharata. When Arjun had taken a particular vow, he would be performing a particular task by the evening, and else he would, if he is not able to perform that task before the sun set on that day, and he would burn himself on a pyre. The task, there are several interpretations about that story. The task couldn't be completed or was not likely to be completed. So up came the position that Arjun has to then keep his words and to burn himself on a pyre. Dr. Rajendra Prasad had to share that with the Constituent Assembly. And he said that when the problem arose as to what was to be done, I'm quoting, in fulfillment of that vow, he would have to burn himself. This, of course, was unthinkable so far as Pandavas were concerned, but Arjun was adamant in his resolve. Sri Krishna solved this problem by saying, if you sit and praise yourself or listen to the praise by others, that would be equivalent to committing a suicide. Do that and burn yourself, and that your vow would be completed. I just stop it here. It's, friends, listening good words will definitely gives a great feeling. But as a humble servant of the Constitution, I would only say, we only do our duty as judges with your help and support. I'm thankful to each one of you. I'm thankful to the learned members of the registry also. I'm thankful to my staff also. I'm thankful to particularly my colleague judges also. And for that matter, each and every individual who has contributed his or her part. Nothing of extra praise is needed for us. What we need is your love and affection for all time to come. Thank you so very much.
So you spoke from the heart. As pointed out by you, it's not about time, it's about the life in that time, and about the diversity in our country and how we all have to make efforts to strengthen the institution. And there is no place for ego for anyone. Humility is what is required by everyone. May I just request may I request Mr. Vikas Singh, President SCBA, and Shri Pradeep Kumar Rai, Vice President SCBA, to kindly present a memento to Honorable Mr. Justice Dinesh Maheswari. May I just request everyone to give a standing ovation to Sir. Now I'll read out the message given by Honorable Mr. Justice Dinesh Maheswari for the members of the bar. As I complete my 4 years at the Supreme Court, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to the members of the bar for their unwavering support throughout our shared endeavors. The bar, with its vast network of lawyers and legal professionals, forms an integral part of our legal ecosystem. They provide the necessary support and guidance to the judges and the court staff, and their contribution to the legal system is invaluable. One advantage of our profession is we never retire. After every sunset and with every dawn that follows it, comes a new lesson to learn or a new interpretation of the old lesson. So long as there remains a yearning in all of us, there is never a farewell. With this, I wish you all the very best, especially to the young lawyers who hold the baton for a bright future. God bless. Thank you, sir, for such kind words for the members of the bar, encouraging words. May I now request Mr. Rohit Pandey, Joint Secretary, SCBA, to kindly give vote of thanks.
Thank you, Rahul ji. We are grateful to Honorable Dr. Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, Honorable the Chief Justice of India, for accepting our invitation for presiding the function. We thank Honorable Mr. Justice Dinesh Maheswari, Judge Supreme Court of India, and his family members for accepting our invitation to attend this function. We thank Honorable Judges of Supreme Court of India, Honorable Retired Judges of Supreme Court of India for gracing the occasion. I thank Mr. R. Venkat Ramani, Learned Attorney General for India, Mr. Tushar Mehta, Learned Solicitor General of India, Learned Law Officers, Senior Members and Members of the Bar, Mr. Manoj Misra, President Skora, Mr. Sanaisis Mukherjee, Vice President Skora, Mr. Devbrat, Secretary Skora, Mr. Atul Kreherkar, Learned Secretary General, and other stars of the Supreme Court of India and the staff of Supreme Court Bar Associations, press, journalists, print media, electronic media, office bearers and members of the Executive Committee of different bar associations, other distinguished guests, and respected members of the bar for gracing the occasion. Thank you. I request the members of the Executive Committee to join for group photographs. Kindly join us for IT.
Morning. Please keep your cameras on.